In this section, we're gonna dive into how you actually analyze deals. So step one to analyzing deals is determining the rent. There's a ton of different ways you guys can actually determine the rent. You'll see here a photo of Rentometer. So this is a rental analysis website that you can just plug an address into and it gives you rental comps. So you can see a range of what properties rent for. Other ways similar to doing this is you can go on Zillow, apartments.com, Redfin, all these other similar sites where you see rentals listed and check for rental comps. Another thing you can do is call a property manager and just say, hey, I have a property at this XYZ location. It's this size. What do you think it rents for? And they can give you an idea as well. You can also ask investors. So if someone comes up to me and asks for me like what a property rents for in an area where I own properties, I would be able to give them a range and pretty accurately. If you're doing short-term rentals, AirDNA is a great way to go about it. So AirDNA is a website that tells you what Airbnbs actually make. It doesn't cost a ton. You can pay like 35 bucks and unlock a market and see what the occupancy is, what they charge nightly for all the Airbnbs in that area. And if you guys are doing rent by the room, roomies.com is a great place, or Facebook Marketplace, where you can list rent by the room rentals and see what other people are charging for them.
So if you're looking at a property and it has rents that are already there and listed, how much do you take into account that versus what you think the market rent is going to be when buying a property?
A lot of properties you will buy will be under market rent, which is really good to know. You also need to know if it's over market rent, because some people are able to accomplish a watermark for rent, but you can't go and repeat that over and over again. So it's important to go verify either way, but typically when you're buying a property, it's gonna be under market rent and you need to account for increasing those rents to market over time.
Got it.
So when we say analyzing a deal, this is using math to predict your ROI. So your return on investment formula, which you guys are probably super familiar with, is the same thing we're gonna be using here. And what that is, if you had a stock, for example, you buy a $100 stock, you have a 10% ROI, that gives you $10, right? So we're just using basic math to then calculate how much money this deal is gonna make us. To do that, we're gonna dive back into the 4 economic benefits of real estate. So again, that's cash flow, loan pay down, appreciation, and depreciation. Once you calculate their ROI and all of those, you can add them up and see how much money you're gonna make on the property as a whole. So like I said, we can calculate these 4 things separately or together. You can see the formula here just to give you guys an idea. Within this formula, you'll see the dollars you initially invested. So these dollars come from 3 different things. It's your down payment, your closing costs, and any upfront repairs you're making. So it's all the dollars you're spending on the front end. If you're doing a short-term rental, it may include like your furnishing costs. So it's just all the dollars you need to buy that investment and get started. So to give you guys an example of a deal, we'll use a $400,000 home. We'll assume we have cash flow of $1,200 for the year, principal reduction or pay down of $4,666. We'll have $12,000 of appreciation, and depreciation we'll leave out for now because you specifically have to look at if someone's a real estate professional or not, and then it gets a little more specific. So we won't even talk about that. And then we'll go ahead and assume you invested $20,000 starting out. So to figure out our ROI on that property, we're gonna add together our cash flow, loan pay down, and appreciation. We're gonna divide it by all the dollars we initially invested, and then multiply that by 100% just to put in a percentage. So in this specific example, we have our $1,200 of cash flow plus our $4,666 of loan pay down, $1,200 of appreciation divided by 20,000, and that would show an 89.3% ROI.
And wouldn't you say that this is a pretty indicative deal of a lot of the deals we see our clients do, maybe outside of cash flow at the very beginning, but everything else seems pretty reasonable as far as what a lot of our clients get into for their first deal or two?
Yeah, and it's important to understand, like, if you guys are investing in stocks and other things, you'll probably see your typical ROI on investment is 7 to 12%.
Yep.
You're able to get a way higher investment here because you're using a very small amount of money. So ROI is not the end all be all of making an investment decision. So like in this example, let's say you were negative $2,000 cash flow. You would still have a positive ROI, but it would heavily swing this number being shown. If you're buying a typical investment property with 20% down, this ROI is going to be much lower. So in this specific example, we're assuming someone
5% down.
Yeah, someone bought this with 5 low money down, owner occupied it, and rent out the extra units or moved out and then turned it to a full rental.
Yep.
So This number is not the end all be all, and it's a hard comparison to use when you use that little amount of money, but it's just to give you guys an idea and a number to think about. It's something that can help you make decisions.
It does also show the power of leverage.
Correct, yeah, and showing you, hey, if you do, this is your actual ROI, so it is a number you can use, but it shows you, yeah, if you put a little amount down, your appreciation, your loan pay down, get you your money back very fast. Another really cool part about real estate is your investment gets better over time. Your payment stays flat, but your principal payment is increasing over time. And then your rents and appreciation are also compounding, meaning they're increasing at an increasing rate over time. This is a graph just to give you guys an example of what your payment looks like over time and how principal is affected. So you'll see the blue line on top is made up of your principal and interest, showing your payment stays the same. And then, excuse me, I'm a little colorblind, but I think this is a green line decreasing, and that is your interest, showing that your interest payments you make get smaller over time. And the red line that's increasing shows your principal payment increasing over time. And again, those make up your flat payment, which is the blue line.
So if I got a $3,000 a month payment, at the beginning I'm getting, maybe $500 of principal pay down, and then, 10 years in, it's a lot more. And then by the end, I'm only paying a few $100 a month in principal, or a few $100 a month in interest, correct?
Correct. So in this graph, you guys will see an example of appreciation just to give you a visual representation. This just shows your property value going up over time. In the United States, we see 3 to 6% on average year over year, depending on where you're at. Typically, the coastal lines experience more appreciation than the inner parts of the country like the Midwest. This table shows you the appreciation you would experience if you bought a $400,000 home. And we assume 3% appreciation, and then we assume 6%. And this is just to give you guys an idea. So you can see year one, you buy the home for $400,000, and then you can see the year over year increase all the way to year 12, to where your home has increased tremendously in value, whether it's 3 or 6. Mm-hmm. And then you can imagine what that looks like 30 years down the road.
So Trevor, when you're analyzing your purchase, are you using 3%? Are you using 6%? Or are you assuming no appreciation?
I typically use 3% personally if I'm buying a 1 to 4 unit home. If I'm buying a commercial property, it works a little bit different, and the value is based on how much rent it brings in.
Sure.
But in the 1 to 4 unit space, I'll use 3%, but I usually don't even like to include it all. And I just like to include where my cash flow will be eventually, and then my loan pay down.
Got it.
So this is a table just to give you guys a visual representation now of principal pay down. So you can see starting with year one, in our same example, you have $4,666 of yearly principal pay down, and then by year 12, you're having $9,000 of principal pay down. And then in this table, you can see your rent compounding over time. So you'll see if you start with a $3,000 rent and your rent's increased by 4% per year, what that would look like. The current max rent increase in Oregon is 10%, so you can't raise a tenant's rent more than 10%, but if someone moves out and you place a new tenant, you can reset it to whatever rate you want.
So thinking back to the examples from last video, this is why, for instance, Alex was able to have so much in cash flow. He was able to have so much equity and so much in principal pay down because each of these things is compounding and getting bigger and better every single year.
Correct. So Alex in year one probably had negative, with his first property, negative $100, negative $200 cash flow on that deal. He grew that to $60,000 of cash flow. And his principal pay down year one would have been something around $20,000 or whatever it may have been.
Right.
And now he's at $60,000. So it's a perfect example of showing how this compounds over time. I created these calculators to help you guys analyze deals faster, and they're all on our website. People that work with us, we give you all our spreadsheets that we personally use to analyze deals. So you can just analyze them how we do, and you can do it much faster. This calculator is specifically for 1 to 4 unit properties or house hacks, but we have a ton of other tools that are for Airbnbs, fix and flips, multifamily calculators, and then personal financial trackers. So you can find those all on our website if you want to get them. And then again, they're just free when you work with us.
So Trevor, it's great that you're providing some really awesome, easy calculators, but some people really hate math. If they're working with you, is that something you'll help them do on a deal? Like before they buy it, you'll do a once over, you'll make sure that their math is right?
Yeah, so we dive in with our students and actually dive into the numbers with them and explain why they are what they are. We are not gonna let us do all the math for you though. We are gonna make sure you're learning if you truly wanna build a portfolio and you understand why these work. And we're gonna spend the time with you to make sure you understand what's going on.
So you're gonna make me understand, but you're also not gonna let me fail.
I'm not gonna let you fail and like just take on a bad deal, but I'm gonna make you learn why these numbers are what they are.
Got it.
So to put all that together and why real estate is so powerful and helps you grow wealth, if you have a $500,000 home and it's appreciating by 4%, you're going up by 20 grand per year in value.
Yep.
That's $1,600 a month you are growing in wealth. If you have 5 grand a year in principal pay down, that's another $400 a month in wealth on your balance sheet of net worth you are gaining. So that's $2,000 a year, $2,000 a month, sorry. You're gaining wealth, 24 grand a year. Now imagine you buy 4 of those houses. Your wealth is going up by $100,000 a year on average.
And that's not counting cash flow, and that's not counting depreciation.
Correct. So that's before all of the other benefits. There's no other tool like real estate, and this is why I personally invest in it, that helps you grow that amount of wealth with that amount of money. That was our section on analyzing deals. If you want to learn more, watch our next video. And then if you want to just shortcut your path to owning rentals, find the link, sign up to work with us.